Okay, get this. What if I told you one of the biggest debates in education, what we should actually be teaching our kids, was basically settled by two computers playing chess? Sounds a little like sci-fi, right? But this one game might just hold the secret to how we should all be learning. So let's dive in.
The story here is just wild. So back in 2017, this new AI, AlphaZero, was basically handed the rules of chess, and that's it. No human strategies, no classic opening moves, nothing. And then in just 4 hours, it played millions of games against itself, and then went on to completely crush the world's best chess computer. So the big question is, how? How does a total blank slate become a genius in less time than it takes to binge a season of a show? All right, to really get this, you gotta meet the two fighters. In one corner, you've got Stockfish, the reigning champ. Think of Stockfish as the library. It's this massive, walking encyclopedia programmed with everything humans have ever learned about chess. And in the other corner, you've got AlphaZero, our challenger. We'll call it the learner. It's a total blank slate programmed with just one thing: how to learn.
I mean, this has all the makings of a classic David versus Goliath story, right? You've got the heavyweight champ versus the total newcomer. And what happened next? Well, it was a victory that should have been impossible.
So let's talk about the old guard, Stockfish. It's what's called an expert system. Basically, its entire intelligence comes from this gigantic database of human knowledge. It's a perfect memorizer. It can pull up any strategy, any move that a grandmaster has ever figured out.
AlphaZero, though, is a whole different beast. It's a learning machine. It uses something called reinforcement learning. It starts with literally no strategy. It just plays, it messes up, and it learns from those mistakes, getting a little bit better millions and millions of times. It didn't just learn the game, it pretty much taught itself how to be a genius.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. This whole thing, it's not just about two computer programs. It's actually a clash between two totally different ways of thinking.
See, this battle between the library and the learner, it's a perfect echo of a debate that's been raging in our own classrooms for more than a century.
And yeah, this is probably going to sound familiar. On one side, you've got content-based education. The whole goal there is to master a set body of knowledge, facts, dates, historical events. The student is basically meant to become a walking encyclopedia. But on the other side, you have skills-based education. Here, the goal is totally different. It's about developing core abilities, critical thinking, problem solving, being adaptable. The student becomes the investigator, the learner.
And look, this isn't some abstract academic debate. This is a real ongoing battle for the very soul of our classrooms.
So what we just saw was these two exact philosophies go head-to-head in their purest possible form as two competing AIs. So who won? And way more importantly, why? The outcome of this match gives us something pretty incredible. We can call it the algorithm's verdict. AlphaZero didn't just win, it dominated. And the reasons why are so revealing. Okay, number one, it broke the glass ceiling. Because AlphaZero wasn't limited by what humans already knew, it came up with strategies that grandmasters had never even dreamed of. They looked almost alien. Number two, it was radically adaptive. A library of facts can get old and outdated pretty fast, right? But the skill of learning, that's always useful. And finally, number three, it was highly transferable. The exact same core program went on to master totally different, complex games like Shogi and Go. The skill of how to learn could be dropped in anywhere, and it just worked.
One commentator put it perfectly. They said the victory of AlphaZero was a victory of the tabula rasa, which is just Latin for a blank slate with the skills to ask questions over the encyclopedia that was just loaded up with old facts.
But wait a second, does this mean that facts and knowledge are totally useless? Not at all. And this is a really, really important point. Content isn't the enemy here. It's just not the end goal.
So are we saying we should just, toss out all the history books, forget about memorizing multiplication tables? Is knowledge just obsolete?
No way. Absolutely not. And ironically, the AI itself proves why. I mean, think about it. AlphaZero couldn't learn in an empty room. It needed data to learn from. For AlphaZero, that data was the millions and millions of games it played. That was its training ground.
And it is exactly the same for us. You can't learn critical thinking in a vacuum. It doesn't work that way. You need something to actually be critical about. And that's where content comes in. History, science, literature, all that stuff is the raw data we humans use to train our minds.
And this brings us to the most important insight of all. Content isn't the trophy you're trying to win. Content is the gym. It's the weight room where we go to build our mental muscles. Things like critical thinking, problem solving, and being able to adapt on the fly.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? It's simple, really. The most important skill is learning how to learn.
Look, in a world that's changing as fast as ours is, teaching someone only a fixed set of facts, it's like installing outdated software on their computer. It's not just useless. Eventually, it actually slows them down. The most valuable program we can possibly install is the one that knows how to update itself. It's the one that knows how to learn, adapt, and grow on its own. So that leaves us with one final big question. In a world that is constantly changing, what if the single most important subject we could ever teach anyone is learning itself?